Hi, welcome back. Alright, now that we have the trigger hooked up inside of the sphere, we'll want to export the trigger inputs to the outside of the object so that we can make changes without having to keep going in and out of it. Now before I do this, there's one other thing I want to do. We are also going to want an invisible checkbox on the outside of the object to make the sphere visible or invisible. That will allow us to make it visible to move it around the scene, then make it invisible when we have it where we want it. That way it's not obstructing our scene at all. So to get the invisible checkbox, first I'll select the 3D window and click on the Settings tab in the stack. In the Scenes panel in the stack, I'll click on the Show Object Attributes button. This will bring up the Object Render Attributes panel in the stack and also in the sphere object. We don't need it in the stack, so I'll just close the panel there. Now if we go back into the sphere object, we can see that a new Object Render Attributes object has been added. If I click on the Advanced tab, we can see that there is an invisible checkbox that will toggle the visibility of the sphere. We want this checkbox on the outside of the sphere object, so we can just right-click on the invisible area and select Export. Now let's also export the input parameters for the trigger. Again, I'm just right-clicking on each input area and selecting Export. There, now if I back up out of the object, we can see that all of those inputs are now on the outside of the sphere object. We have the action radius, activate, deactivate, invisible. They are all here now. Let's clean up the objects panel a little. If I click on the Advanced tab, we can see that none of these inputs are useful anymore. I'll right-click on the title bar of the object to go into Panel Edit mode. I'll right-click again and select Delete. That deleted the Advanced tab, and now we just have the Expanded and Default tabs. This default aspect doesn't really do anything useful anymore either, so we'll create a new default aspect. First, I'll click on the Expanded tab. Here we can see all of the inputs and outputs. I've found that it's sometimes easier to just delete what we don't need from this aspect instead of changing the default aspect around. So again, I'll right-click on the title bar of the object to go into Panel Edit mode. Now I'll just click on all of these fields here that we don't need anymore and press Delete on my keyboard. We don't need the latitude and longitude anymore, so I'll get rid of those. I'll also delete the radial slice, radius, and top slice. Now I'll do a little rearranging here to get everything lined up nice. I'll get this checkbox to fit here and move the matrix up, and I'll move the type drop down menu up, and then pull everything else up here so it lines up. Now when changing panels like this, you often have to resize things to get everything to line up good. So I'm just going to adjust things a bit here. Try to get everything lined up and flush. This isn't really necessary, it just looks better. There, now I can just right-click on the title bar again and select Make Default. Now the panel I just created becomes the default. We have all of our inputs that we'll need to make adjustments to our trigger. We can toggle the visibility, whatever we need to do. Now if I click in the upper left corner of the object's title bar and select Rename Object, I can rename it. Perhaps I'll call it Trigger Sphere. I already have this saved to a library here, so I'll just delete this one and pull out the pre-made one. This is essentially the same, it just has a different material applied to it. Now if you meet me in the next video, we'll cover what the inputs for the trigger actually do.